Good morning, everyone. A friend of mine from Germany buys pens on eBay and has them sent to a friend of his in New Jersey. And he asked if I would look at them, and I have. The friend, New Jersey friend, sent them to me for me to see if Levin's rose-colored glasses were clear or were not very clear. And it seems to me that they were pretty clear. The issues that he felt the pens had were in fact there. The bright side of what he had hoped the pens would be were also there. So I wish I had his prescription. My rose-colored glasses are not as clear as are his. So he asked me to, after I checked them out and made a repair or two if needed, I would write or draw with them. So here you go, Mr. Levin. Let's start with this one. This is a Waterman 0552 gold fill Waterman overlay in the Gothic pattern. It has, it's not marked 0552, but that doesn't make it incorrect. I have a feeling that in the factory on a Monday morning, when people are still hungover from the weekend, they might have put an overlay over a barrel that's marked 52 rather than 0552, or I don't know when they marked these things. Did they mark them before they put the overlay on? Someone will know the answer. Todd Merrill will know the answer, maybe. So I didn't change the way the nib is set because it's working for me. Sometimes moving the nib and feed back and forth will adjust something, but that's something that he could do at his end. I did adjust them in some cases, but I did not do it in this case. I put a sack in this pen yesterday, so it should be this. It should work. In fact, I just dipped it. So I'm not sure what I'm going to draw. I asked Levin to give me a, so this is a, I'll just write Waterman 0552. What does that mean? Gold fill, lever filling, number 2 nib. So the range of the nib, this is, if you were to assemble or take all of the pens off of the Waterman shipping desk, all the pens they made that day, this is probably the nib that 90% of them would have. It's a standard Waterman flexible nib. It's not fine flexible, it's not broad flexible, it's not fine stiff, it's not broad stiff, it's not a stub. This is 9/10 of what you expect this pen to, a Waterman of this era, to have. So, yay. And this pen is labeled M.H. Eliot from Justice Wendell. Now I looked at I looked up both those names together in Google, and I found no connection with an actual person or history of those two. they are actual people, I presume. One is a judge. One might be, what would a judge give a gift for? I could understand how someone might want to give the judge a gift if he does everything in his power to keep his guilty client from going to jail by overriding the prosecution. Why the justice would give this other person a gift, I don't know. Maybe it was a teacher. Maybe Justice Wendell ended up teaching in a school and this was for his star pupil. Who knows? It might have been just a gift, a birthday gift, a gift to his lover. Who knows? We can come up with all sorts of fantasies, comedies or tragedies based on just the name and the pen. So that's pretty sweet, Mr. Levin. Let's try another one. Okay, let's stick with the Watermans. This is a Waterman it's a Waterman. Todd Merrill can correct me again. He always does. When I talk about this kind of pen, it's a Waterman LEC. Waterman 452. 4 means, well, let me just write it down. Waterman 452.5 LEC. Now this is not marked LEC, so maybe it's not an LEC. Looks like an LEC to me. Anyway, what does this mean? Sterling overlay, lever fill, number 2 nib, thin. Not the nib is thin, but the pen is thin. This is a standard 52. This is a 52.5, meaning it's skinny. If it had a V on it, it would be short. If it was a half V, it would be short and thin. This, however, is just thin. LEC means long, lower end covered. Why do I that rather than long extended covering or whatever I say? Lower end covered. So this is, it doesn't end with the hard rubber, it ends with this. Now, what else is fancy about this kind of pen? Well, the cap is shorter than the standard pen. The proportions are just very different on these pens than a standard Waterman 452. Let me just show you a 452.5 if I can find it. Where are my Watermans? These are all Waterman drawers you hear me pulling. Now those are Parker's. Somewhere, where are my Waterman overlays? Ripple, Modern. I hate this drawer. Okay, these are all similar pens. Is that the one I'm looking for? Okay, this is the one I'm looking for, not these. So this is the standard 452.5, meaning skinny but long. And you see how different the clip, the cap sizes are. So these remind me a little bit of what? What does this remind me of? Short cap and long barrel. Early Schaefer ladies pens. I don't know what, I don't really quite know what they remind me of, but they remind me of something. Anyway, back to Levin's pen here. So this nib that's on this pen is not the one that it originally came with. At some point, someone exchanged it or replaced it with a later number 2 accountant nib. So it says account on the nib. In this case, it says it above the word Waterman, I think. Yes, above the word Waterman, it says account. Account ready, account, and it says Waterman ideal, blah, blah, blah. Rather than the heart-shaped breather hole, which I'm drawing here, it has just a regular dot breather hole. So the thinness and thickness of the pen is generally not very, I mean, it starts out thin, starts out very thin, and it doesn't go much thicker, but it just allows for some shading. So anyway, lovely pen. I almost always, when I have the ability to put the nib, I like to match nibs with the pen. And sometimes I might take an accountant nib out of a standard short stubby pen and put it in a long skinny pen, because I think somehow I think of this, the person who wanted a nib like this wanted a pen like this. Now, of course, people's tastes in clothing and cars and all sorts of stuff don't always fit. And they choose the wrong thing, or the thing that doesn't quite match what you imagine them to want to wear. But people do match their profession to the pen, or whatever they do. They're careful about what they choose. They go to the clothing store and they buy the correct thing, not the thing that's on sale, but the thing that makes sense for their body type. Okay, 2 down, some to go. There's this is a Parker Sterling capped 51. I'm not going to, this is going to be on a sheet by itself. I did not repair this pen because I don't trust myself with these things anymore. So this is a Parker 51. I'm writing on the upside down side because it's just so fine, and it gets finer, and I just love when they do this. You flip it upside down and it's a much finer nib. Anyway, I don't fix these aerometric anymore, and this needs an entire new, this is not connected, as you can see. No, I don't think it feels like it's working to a degree, but it needs to be fixed. So it's a lovely, lovely pen, but I'm not going to fix it. Here's another lovely, lovely pen that I'm not going to fix either, because it involves replacing a cork, and that's just too much trouble for me. This is a more midget safety pen. Does it have a more nib? I don't remember even looking. Yes, it does have a more nib. It's a lovely, lovely pen. Let me just try writing with it here if I can, just making a line with it. It's really hard to hold onto this pen because it's so small. More midget. The cap doesn't post as well as it should. I don't want to press it down any further than I did, just because it's tight. This band should be pushed down further, but I don't want to take that chance of doing that. I'm going to let Levin do that. But a lovely nib, beautiful little pen, and sometime he can fix this if he wants to. This is a Parker jackknife. Get a new drawing for that. I like how long it takes to unscrew this one. It has really, really good threads, and you just have to turn it many, many times to have it finish screwing. There are some pens that you only screw, the threads are sort of worn, so the screwing, it's only like half a turn, and then it's done. Parker jackknife, knife, lucky curve. Nice and springy nib. It's not a button fill. It's so someone can tell me what the number is here, what the number is supposed to be, a 20 or 30, I don't even know. But you fill it with an eyedropper. Here's the lucky curve. That's what the lucky curve means, is that little curved thing there. Rather than having it just stop, it curves down where this makes contact with the inside of the barrel. So when you're done, you put the cap back on, and the ink is meant to travel down and make contact with the inside of the barrel and pull the ink away from the feed. I think that's what it's supposed to do. Now, Todd Merrill will tell me for sure. Todd is the expert that watches this thing. Other people can tell me for sure as well, but Todd will be the one that'll do it. Todd, that's your job. This also is a very tight back. It posts really well. Over the years, eventually this would push down a little bit as this is worn a little bit, gets a little thinner, but it fits just really snugly right on the back of that thing. So here's another, maybe this is what I'm thinking of, sort of a short cap to the barrel. Later on, barrels and caps and barrels, when they're capped, are more even. Maybe. Is that what I'm thinking? Okay. 5 down, 3 to go. Is that right? 1, 2, 3. This one is a beautiful swan, and it's an over and under feed. I think the underfeed might be missing a little part. But it's rounded, so maybe it isn't. It might need to be heat fitted. This is I was wondering where this was. So it's a very complicated feed system, this thing. Let's just show you how this works. It's it seems very delicate. Here's a piece of hard rubber, and it's split in two. And this the fatter side might be missing just a little tiny bit of part of the hard rubber. You notice too that the nib has the back end of it is a little bit trimmed down. That's so it all fits in this thing well. That's sort of a mark of an earlier swan pen of this era, I think. So to set this thing in, you have to find the right way to do it. It is still sort of putting a round peg in a round hole, but there was one way that it seemed to like to go more than the other way. Now this little wire bit, this was somehow, I was told is sterling silver. This fits back here as well into the back of the section. And this is supposed to help the ink somehow. I don't quite understand how it's supposed to make it all the better, but it is. And when I said this seemed new to me, people were telling me, Pierre, I said, either I've never seen this before or I've forgotten. And everyone is saying you must have forgotten because these are not uncommon. Anyway, so there we go. This might need a little bit of heat. This falls off the end just because, again, it's snug here on the front, but it's not very snug here on the back. So I would never try to post it because it would fall off and fall under my desk and I'd step on it and I'd be very upset. So this is a swan, the stub nib. Really, really fun. And it's flexible stub as well. I would use this for certain kind of writing. And it's a certain kind of writing that I don't really do very much. Levin. It's for Old English or Chancery script or whatever. And yeah, this one needs some tweaking, and I'm not going to tweak it. There's the bottom feed half doesn't really meet up with the bottom of the pen. It's sort of like this, and the nib is in between. So, but that requires heat and tweaking, and I hate my eyeballs. They don't work anymore. I'm trying to put this thing on, but I'm missing completely the mark because I see double. I need eye surgery to correct it, where they go in with a scalpel while I'm awake and scrape away some scar tissue from my retina, and that scares me, so I don't do it. So anyway, the swan is lovely with a stub nib. I'm saving the best for last. The pen that if I could choose one to keep for myself, I would choose the last one I'm going to show you. This is a lovely Parker. Again, I don't know what the number is. Someone else can tell me. With this little extra fancy top on it, and I don't remember what kind of fancy top that is. It does have a crack here, and someone put tape on it or a band on it at some point. So I'm not pressing down very hard when I put the cap on the back, but it's a lovely looking thing, lovely design. It has a replacement feed and nib as well. It's a feed and nib from the 30s or 40s. So, and a pen nib from that era, well, especially Parker, is relatively firm. It's really nice though. It's very tapered. It's really a beautiful pen shape, and it has this nice thick repoussé pattern here where there's just beautiful three-dimensionality to this overlay. If this were in my collection, I would probably never really use it. I just show it as an example of a pen of this era. And I'd be afraid, I mean, it has had a lot of use in its life. There's some plating here on the edges. It seems to have been, I would have expected more plating here where it's very bumpy, where you would rub against it and take off the top layer of gold. But it must have been held tightly here in its life, because here's where you see the most wear. Lovely pen. Parker. Set that here. Last one is this really beautiful Swan screw cap eyedrop fill. Has that great Swan eyedrop fill feed that looks like a little cone. You see them on the eyedrop fill pens. You don't see them on the other pens. Why is that? I don't know. After this pen was purchased at the Swan or at the pen shoppy, the person went over to the jeweler and said, I want little sterling silver bands put at the top and the bottom. Why this one has two, I don't know, but it does. This has one. I don't think I would have suggested that. I don't know whether I would have put them back here in the first place because I can't post the pen now. But the ends, this end, is not hard rubber. I don't think. And I know this end is not hard rubber. This is carved stone of some sort. Where's there it is. So I'll try to get this in focus. There we go. What do you see? It's a little fox running. And it has letters above it that says tally ho, but it says it backwards. So someone, again, I'm being sexist. I'm going to say Lady Vendemere, her husband, Lord Vendemere, loved hunting. Oh, I know what'll get him, she said to herself. I know what I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him a pen with his signet ring or his little wax seal. I'm going to have it cut down and put on the back of his pen, top of his pen. So when he writes his note to the hunt club, signs it Lord Muckety Muck. Tally-ho, tally-ho. That's what he'd always end, not sincerely, not talk to you another time, not yours truly, but tally-ho is how he'd always end his letters. And then he would put them in the things, seal the envelope, and then take his wax seal, blop it down there, and do that in the middle of the seal, and you'd see this big red seal, this little indentation, and it has a little fox running. Which way does it run? The tail is on this side on here, so it would be here. Here's the tail, here's the head. And the word tally-ho, tally-ho. There's some ground here. So that's what he'd do. He'd take his pen and do that. And it's a swan overfeed. Beautiful, beautiful springy nib. It's very similar to the dip nibs that I like, Victorian dip nibs. It goes from thick to thin really, really easily, really fast. Swan nibs are among the best for that behavior. So this is the pen that I would like if Levin wants to put that in his will. And to Pierre Gustafson, I leave my tally-ho swan. I'll be long dead before he dies, though, because he's quite a bit younger than I am by, I don't know how many years. He's 20-something, and I'm nearly 70, so you do the math. Lovely pens, Levin, and I can't wait to have them in your hands. How they're going to get back to Germany, I don't know. I may send them back to the woman he knows in New Jersey. Another option is, and this is just to avoid customs and tariffs and all that other stuff, and just the postage, how long it takes to pay for a package to go from here to Europe is expensive. It's still magical that it can even happen. You know, gets put on a plane and ship or whatever dirigible and goes across the ocean. It's amazing that doesn't cost $1 million per package, but it costs a lot, and then it ends up in customs, and then you have to pay duty on it and all that kind of stuff, and it takes a long, long time. And I would prefer it to get there faster. And a friend of mine is moving. He's going to visit Italy, one of my neighbors in my building, and I might ask him to be the mule, or he'd bring the box of pens with him. If customs asks about it, he can say, well, I'm an artist. I use these pens to draw with, which is a little white lie. And he can then post them from Italy to Germany. And I don't know whether there's tariffs between them or customs or all that other kind of stuff. I don't really quite know. But that's one way to do it. Another way is to send them back to the woman in New Jersey, and she can deal with sending them over to Germany. Or she may actually go to Germany as well. I have a friend that's visiting here. He's from here originally, but he lives in Germany now, so he's planning on coming back here. He might be able to take them as well. So I'd love to sell pens to all of you Europeans, but it's not easy, and it's expensive. And it adds $40 or $50 to the price of a pen. So if I was selling you a pen, that's a lot of money. If I was selling you 20 pens and you divide that number by 20, it's not that much. In terms of the postage, in terms of customs, you're still screwed. But so here's a pen I bought at the New Jersey Pen Show 2 years ago. I missed last year's one. It's a pen that's missing a lever, but it looks pretty. So I can put a lever in it somehow. I might, in fact, put the little pin is broken. It doesn't have a pressure bar. The pin is broken, and sterling levers are hard to come by, but I have a nickel lever I can put in it, and I can slide. Let me see if I can do this repair right now while you watch. And it's certainly not authorized way to repair this pen, but it's a way that the pen looks correct and looks correct enough and will in fact work. You can use the lever. You just have to be a little bit careful about how you do it. Let's see if I have a lever here. Don't go away. Tina, I can't help you. You have your own food. You can eat your own food all by yourself. Back. Somewhere in this drawer of Waterman parts, I must have a broken Tina, I can't help you. Eat your own food. Look at that. I need one of those. Here is part of what I need. I'm looking for a barrel like this with a lever on it, but it's cracked up here. And it seems to me I should have, or this one. Here's a barrel. No, I already have, no, I need the lever. Here's a barrel. See the lever box? That's cracked. See how cracked it is? So I'm taking it out. Tina, forgot to take the pressure bar out first, which I'll do in a, oh, I don't don't need to do that. The pressure bar is in here still. So I take my lever and I crack it into two, I crack it in twain. Okay, this little, Tina, I have to remove this little tiny pin. My cat is making me mental. Tina, she's saying, where's the skinny guy? Where'd the skinny guy go? The one that I like. The one I like is I refer to him as my 3/4 roommate. And he's not here. He's house sitting for a neighbor, feeding her plants in her. There we go. I took the pin away. Pin be gone. So what you do, you put this lever, you sort of wedge it somehow. You get it in here. Now sometimes you do it by, oh, there it is. It's right in there. So here it is, hanging out. It doesn't have a pin in here to hold it in place, but if it does have its little pins that hold it to this thing, the little pins that are on either side of the lever are held in here. So what you do, you just set this up like that. That's the sound it makes. Okay. Now you get your long needle nose pliers, which I used the other day for something, but let me go find it. Should be over here somewhere. Tina, I can't help you. Tina, go up there. Get up there. So what I do is I take the long needle nose pliers, make sure this is aimed in the right direction. Oh, for God's sake. My cat is going crazy. What I'm going to do is slide this into the barrel, line the groove up to this little notchy thing, and hopefully I can do this in one go. Do you hear that noise? It is connected to it now. And I put this back. So now the lever and the pressure bar, I think, are connected. No, they're not connected. Try take two. I need to get it over that hump. Line it up. It's connected now. I mean, it's in the groove, but it isn't going over the hump. Why isn't it going over the hump? It's supposed to go over. There's a little bump it's meant to go over. The two pins go on either side of that track. Then it goes over that hump, and then it stays put. And I think this does still have its two pins, so it shouldn't be giving me this trauma. Let's try it this way. Come on. If I do this correctly, if it's possible for me to do this correctly, the nib, or the lever, the pressure bar will be connected and will stay connected together, and they will function perfectly well for the duration. For the duration. Come on, get in the groove. Let's try a different one. Some pressure bars are too small. They're for the short pen. Some are too long for the long pen. Short, short, short. Fuck. I was going to show you what I'm trying to do. Here's a lever box with the two pins, right? What I'm trying to do is line this up so this goes into the grooves, goes over the bump, and it stays together. The reason that this fell off is it went too much forward. See that the groove only goes to here. But anyway, let's see if this works. Is this too long? Pressure bars that are too long won't work. Pressure bars that are too short won't work. You have to use the right pressure bar. Okay, we'll try this again. And again, when you put the rubber sack in the pen, the rubber sack will keep the pressure bar raised. Ta-da! So the sack is in, the pressure bar, the lever is connected to the pressure bar. I can press down on this, squeeze, unsqueeze, put this back, and even though this is loose, it's not going to open up because those two parts are connected. So now I can fill this pen and use it and easily fill it again and use it, and etc., etc. So this pen that I bought that was not functioning, yes, I could put a sack in the pen and I can take the whole section out in the sack and squeeze the sack and push it back in, but now at least it doesn't look like it's missing a part. So that's Jury rigging 101. Beautiful nib on this pen. I don't know if this is the nib that it came with when I bought it. It's missing its clip, so it has an accommodation clip on it, which doesn't bother me. Works as a clip. So this is a pen, for example, I could bring out with me when I go to the local brew pub and write people's names in calligraphy and show them a pen and say, oh, is this 100 years old? They're not going to know that it has the wrong lever and has an accommodation clip. They're just going to go, oh my God, that is the most beautiful thing you've ever seen in my life. Look at this nib. It's the most beautiful nib you've ever seen in your life. And they will be suitably and correctly impressed by the nib and the pen. They don't need to see one in mint condition to be impressed by it. I'm not trying to impress you or you or you or you or you about this beauty of the pen. You already know that it's missing a lever, it doesn't have the right clip, and everything else is wrong about it. But this is really sweet the way it is. Okay, someone is in here. Travel by the books. How cold was it? Where are you? Why are you awake so early? I've been up for 2 hours, for one thing, Teresa. So it's not early for me. I'm still in my jams, my nightshirt. Normally I sleep vaguely a cappella, but because it's cold, I have an old nightshirt that I had, I think, when I was in college. Those of you that don't know what a nightshirt is, it's a long, looks like a regular shirt, pullover shirt with a few buttons up the collar, but it goes down to roughly your knees, which is a nice way to sleep. You don't have that elastic band around your middle. So anyway, here's a way that you can fix a pen like this so it functions, and you can fill it almost like you would normally fill a pen. Yes, the lever doesn't sort of snap into place because it doesn't have the little pin that's holding it exactly right. But again, it works perfectly fine. Oh, see, here it comes out. This is still connected to the pressure bar, though. So the pressure bar and the lever are still connected to each other, and they still function the way they're meant to function. It's just that this can slide down like that. So you have to be careful when you're putting it in your pocket that the lever doesn't slide up and you get ink all over your inside of the pen. So, and if I do this correctly, what do I have to, if I repaired this correctly, what do I need? I need a Sterling lever box put together. And where do I find those? You have to buy a pen like this and break it apart. So you destroy a pen that's perfectly good to get the part you need. Then you have to take this overlay off, which requires heating the overlay in such a manner so that you can slide it off. You put the lever box in, then you heat up this thing again, and then you slide it over the top somehow. And again, this is something that there are people in the world that know how to do this. Well, I know how it's done. I don't do it myself. It's 11 inches there. We had probably 12 inches. I don't know. I didn't look at the news, but we had enough. Anyway, we had a really fun party in our courtyard where we built a fire. We had a cage, spherical cage that you put firewood in, and you light it on fire. And we were doing s'mores and singing songs and dancing during the blizzard. It was quite fun. So why is there this big hole in this cap? Well, I'll tell you why. This is a cap of a, quote, dummy pen. This had a barrel that had a gold-plated nib in it, and this would be in the window of your store where you would buy pens in 1915. And if someone took a brick, a cobblestone, and smashed the window to steal the pen, they'd steal a pen that isn't, in fact, a real pen. It doesn't have a real nib in it. So the ones that had the big holes in it were those pens. Often the pens were made of wood, or some were ceramic. They looked fine in the window, where you couldn't get all that close to it. But anyway, this still works as a cap for a slip cap pen. I think it should work. And this isn't right. So this is, I don't know who played with this one. Someone heated this up too much, or I don't know what, but it has this big bulge coming out. So the cap doesn't really fit as well as it should. Anyway, I'm going to sign off. Thank you for watching. Teresa, we'll talk later. Maybe we'll do another live one in a couple of days when I get my act together. Meanwhile, I'll fill this pen with ink. And I'll have fun drawing with it, writing with it. Let's just fill it. I don't know if this is actual ink or dirty ink. It looks like it's just watered down ink, but let me just fill it up. See, it does work. The lever, using the lever and the pressure bar that's in there that are connected, does work as a lever and pressure bar. Beautiful, beautiful nib on this pen. Is this an accountant nib as well? No. It is a later nib. It's a pen nib from the 30s or 40s rather than a pen nib from the 20s. But it's quite lovely. And it's a beautiful fine line. It's writing like an accountant nib, but it's a little bit more flexible. So ta-da! Bye.